Let's start building the blog page. And the very first element, one that is common to all the other pages, is the header. And this is placed in a file called header.php. So let's begin. First of all, let's start with some comments. Now, I got in the habit of creating comments at the start of every file, so we know what that file is and what it's doing. So in this case, we're just going to say index.php and a short description. Now, let's go ahead and load header.php. Yeah, load header.php. And the way to do that is simply use the function getHeader. The next step is actually create the header.php file. We start again with the comment at the top of the file, where we put in the file name and a short description. Now, this comment is entirely optional. If you don't want to put it, don't put it. It serves no functional purpose, but it's just for our own reference. For the header, we have to include the segment of content that's present in all of our pages. So let's see what's the common thing in all of our pages. Well, it's this menu here, and that's about it, actually, because this content actually changes from page to page. In blog, we have a different content. In contact, we have a different content as well. Let's jump back here and let's open index.html, and we're going to copy everything up to this bit, the Jumbotron. So copy this bit and go ahead and paste it inside header.php. Now, since this is WordPress, we cannot just leave this as it is. We have to make certain adjustments. And the first adjustment is to add a PHP tag here, and we'll say language attributes, and then leave a space there. Then, instead of manually entering the char set, we're going to do PHP blog info char set. Now, blog info is a function that returns various information about our blog. In our case, it's the char set. Next, instead of this hard-coded title, if you want, we're going to do something similar, but using WordPress functions. So we're going to do PHP. We're going to start with a function called WP title, and WP title takes certain parameters. The first one is a separator. In our case, we're just going to put the pipe character. The next parameter is display. So this allows us to either display or retrieve the page title. In our case, we want to display it, so we're going to set this to true. And the third parameter is the separator location. So the way we want this to work is we want to have the blog title on the left, the pipe separator, and then the page title on the right. So we're going to put right here. Again, this is for the separator. Okay, so we did this, the WP title, and then we're going to do another PHP tag, and we'll say blog info name. Next, for description content, we're going to do PHP again, blog info description. Viewport, we're going to keep this. We're going to remove these references for style sheets and JavaScript because this is not the correct way to load them. And then at the very end, before the head is finished, we got to do a PHP where we're going to say WP head. Now, this is a function that will basically tie into other WordPress functions that will allow you to load stuff in the head. We'll see about this in a later lesson. But for now, just remember, you always have to include this bit. Now, if you remember, the original HTML template had two image files called favicon and Apple Touch Icon Precomposed. So we actually have to load them as well. So I'm just going to copy them in our theme folder. And then here, I'm going to say something like this. Actually, let's do a comment. We're going to say favicon and Apple Touch icon. Right, so here we're going to say, we're going to create a variable for favicon, and we're going to put the following. Images, this is a constant, we're going to define it in just a bit, slash icons slash favicon.ico. Just bear with me on this. And then we're going to create one for touch icon. It's going to be images icon, and the name here, touch icon precomposed.png, which is this file here. Now, there are two things we need to do now. First, create a new folder called img, and inside, create a new folder called icons. And take the favicon and the other image and move them inside icons. Yeah, just like that. And then let's create a new file called functions.php. Now the functions.php file will be used for the themes function. And actually the first one we need to define here is actually a section for some constants. So we're going to say one constants. And we're going to do this define theme root get stylesheet directory URI. This is a function that returns the directory of the style.css function. And in our case, it's the root of our theme. And by doing this, we can actually use the theme root constant instead of this value throughout our theme. And the next one will be for images. So we'll say define images. So notice this is the constant that we defined here. Images as theme root /img. And we're going to do another one, JS for theme root /JS. Okay, and that's it for the constants right now. Going back here, we're putting the path of these two images in these two variables. And then we're going to do link. The rel here is going to be shortcut icon. And the href is going to be PHP. We're simply going to echo favicon. And you can delete these. We don't need them. So this will actually load the favicon. And we'll do another one. And here we're going to say Apple touch icon precomposed. href will actually output touch icon. And we got to specify sizes here, 152 by 152, which is the size of our file here, as you can see. And this will actually help when creating shortcuts, for example, on mobile devices. That's it for the head section. Now let's move on to the body. And the first thing we got to add here is PHP and a function called body class. Body class is a function by WordPress that adds all the necessary classes to the body tag. Next, this we're going to keep. And then this we're going to keep as well, but we will change it a little bit. So first of all, the first thing I'm going to do is actually redo the indentation here. Not that the one that Corey used is wrong or anything, but it's just the way I work. So I write code in a certain way. Now let's deal with this section first. The thing is, whenever we see plain text written like this, we have to use a function that will allow us to translate that text. And in our case, this function is _e. _e allows us to specify the string to be translated and also the text domain. And _e basically means go ahead and print this translatable string. There's also a version with _, which is also for translatable text, but that one does not print. the character. But in our case, we do want it to print. So we're going to do that. Next up, on the navbar brand here, instead of the index.html href, we're going to put the href to be on the root level of our site installation, of our WordPress installation. And to do that, we'll do a PHP, and we'll do an echo, escape URL, which is a function for sanitizing a certain string. We'll do another function inside, home URL, root. And then instead of icebreaker here, we're going to put the actual name of our blog. So we're going to use the blog info function name. So let's actually do a refresh and see what we got so far. Yeah, so we have WordPress latest local instead of icebreaker here, which is good. And let's see, toggle navigation. Oh, I did not put this in a PHP tag. Sorry about that. All right. So far, so good. We're going to wrap up this lesson here. And we're very close to finishing the header. We still need to tackle the navigation menu on the right side, but we'll deal with that in the second part of this lesson. That's coming up next.